right. My name is Martin Oluwatosin, and on the next episode of Slum2Tech, which is like a platform where we try to bring in colleagues that they've found themselves in a part of tech, and I'm quite sure that it's not a very easy journey, And on this episode, I'm privileged. I'm privileged to have one of my friend, my friend, my colleague. Apparently, I think we've only seen like twice, but we've known each other for a while, and it's a privilege to have her on the call today. Maybe I should just allow her to introduce herself, Jane, how are you today?
I'm very good, thank you, Martin. So my name is Jane Oragwa, and currently I work as a dynamics analyst for Part Europe, a company in Germany.
Wow.
Yeah.
Germany. You just if I know very well, you just moved to Germany not quite long, but that should be like the end goal, because the audience today, you can see this is one of the women in tech, and I think Evolved Connect, we're doing a lot of community job. We're doing a lot of corporate social responsibility to actually introduce tech to women, to females, to nursing mothers, because I feel like it's like an easy path to remote jobs, it's an easy path to freelancing, it's like an easy path to the global IT world. Jane, I knew that you don't just get to Germany, so let's take it from the basis. Yeah, Jane, how did you start it? Can you just walk us through your journey, your educational background, where you grew up from, and how your university days? Is it that you started tech from uni days? How do you get to a point that you are not like a specialist in Microsoft 365 Dynamics that actually give you a path to like a global world from Nigeria, getting a job from Nigeria in a global world? It's not easy. So walk us through the path. What is your journey like?
Okay, so first off, I was raised in the northern part of Nigeria, just Plateau State.
So you can speak Hausa very well.
Not very well, but I understand perfectly and I speak a little.
Okay.
Yeah, so while in high school, shout out to my high school, St. Greek College, just one of the best schools in just Plateau State, right?
I'm gonna tag them. I'm gonna tag them.
So that was like my first introduction to technology. Actually, in high school, we're introduced to Cisco, right? That is networking. Yes, CCNA, but I found it boring.
Yeah.
And I think
it's actually boring if you are not actually in the field, the practical field. Yeah. Exactly.
I think one thing I try to preach to people or younger ladies. Nobody did it for me. Nobody came to tell me, see, take this seriously. You're going to use it in the outer world. We just went because we're selected few. It was not like a course. They picked like the brilliant ones and they introduced us to the course. We're having it as extra course here. So I did Cisco for like 3 years, and I had a certificate. That was like my first encounter. Yeah, LAN, WAN, and the rest, right? Yes, I think that was my first encounter to technology. After that, I just proceeded to study my engineering, and I just left it behind. If I knew that I'm taking it seriously, maybe I'll be a cybersecurity expert by now or something. So
not to spoil.
Yeah, I'll be here, right? From high school, I went on to study engineering. I actually studied chemical engineering in the East, Anambra State University. In my final year, there was this program. It was a hackathon for hardware, right? And they needed volunteers, and I was like, oh well, this seems interesting, and I volunteered. Then during the course of the whole program, the hackathon, I met the founder. That is the person that brought it. It was this lady from America, and I just loved the way she carried herself. She was just amazing. I was like, so after my final year, I went on for service, NYC. I served in Lagos State, and I was actually teaching, right? I was teaching STEM to kids. And I had a colleague, shout out to Leke wherever he is. Leke told me about tech and stuff. He at the time he was having like this course on Audacity. It was a scholarship course, and it was UI UX. And he encouraged me. He was like, you know what? start up something, right?
Huh?
And yeah, she shared me some links, and I started with front-end development. That was free code camp and Udemy. I started practicing on my own, learning on my own. Then after service, you start with the what can I do with my life?
Yeah, because that's even that 1 year you don't know there's reality after that 1 year,
Exactly,
It's
right?
when
And I
it's
didn't
getting
know what to
closer to
do.
the end of the service year, it's like, oh wow, what will
Yeah.
I do with my life? Yeah,
So it was a very, very scary moment for me because I didn't know how to navigate. I
the
studied
journey.
chemical engineering. I wanted to be an engineer. But
Yeah,
I'd written a lot of graduate training exams. After the
yeah,
interview, they don't get to call you back, either after the first stage, second stage, even bank interviews. I wrote
yeah,
a lot of interviews. I had
yeah.
physical interviews. So it was actually a bit challenging, right? So I was like, I didn't want to just have a plan A. I needed a plan B. So
I see.
while applying for those jobs, I was still doing my online stuff, learning on my own, right?
But let's break it down, yeah. But from
Yeah.
the hackathon, during the hackathon that you talk about in the university, what was the hackathon all about? It's which aspect of tech? Or was it cloud computing? It's totally like
Yeah.
different
So
aspect of tech,
the hackathon was actually a hardware hackathon.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Even during my service here, she did a second edition in Lagos, and I was in Lagos at the time, and I applied as a participant. And I remember, yes, I and my team were a group of 5, and we ended up as first runner up. We actually won. I and my team, we created a prototype. It was smart glasses for the visually impaired. And
Oh, I see.
and we pitched our ideas. We even had like the governor of Lagos State at that then and stuff, and we won. We came first runner up. Yeah. After service, after things, no jobs were coming for me. I kept
Yeah.
applying. I was a bit discouraged.
Yeah, I can imagine because even when it's a very hard thing for graduates out there, and I think that's why this conversation is very, very important. People need to sometimes working smart. It's a part. It's not about working hard. I can imagine what you went through. Applying for bank jobs, going for all this kind of assessment, a lot of rejections and all those things, and everything is just crazy. You just want to get something doing. You don't even care what the job is going to be like. You just want to get something doing.
I was applying everywhere and anywhere. I just wanted to be up and doing. Then I heard about Slum2Tech. Slum2Tech is like they train you. You have like physical classes, yeah. So they train you, you pay a certain amount, you start your classes, then they help you get a job. I think so. Then they take you, start paying some amounts. I can't remember how they do
out of what you're earning, right?
So I was like, I had savings for my NYC, right? So I used it and I paid for the first step. I think that was like 150,000 as at then.
Oh.
And the classes then was at Yaba Lagos. And I started attending. It felt good. What I signed up for was front-end development. I started learning. Yeah, I started learning. We're having projects. I remember every week we had like mentors from different aspects of tech come to talk to us.
Yeah.
I remember someone even offered to like give like 10% discount for the females in the cohort at the time. Yeah. So it was actually interesting. I was learning. We had night classes. We had day classes. It was a projection. Then I saw an internship opportunity online and I applied.
Yeah.
That was Reliance Info System.
Wow. And so let's break it down, right? So you were more or less like doing self-training, because this whole conversation is all about your journey. And if I see through everything you've been saying, it's more or less like you actually you have the will. Wanted to change the narrative for yourself. You don't just want to settle for less after your service year. You paid for an internship, for your training, and you were going. I can imagine coming to Yaba. Yaba is like the mini tech hub in Lagos. Yeah. Doing your trainings and the likes, and you still push further, because I know that we get connected because you work the Reliance ecosystem. I want to say maybe shout out to to the people there, because I'm also one of their staff. Shout out to Mr. Yemi Pokuola. Putting up like a structure that actually give people opportunity. It's very, very strange. So if you understand very well, you came into Reliance Info System as an intern.
Yeah.
In Dynamics or where? Or is it in front end development where you started your training or what?
Yeah, so the interview had me like if I had knowledge of tech and what I knew about tech. So I knew the front end part, and I didn't know so much about Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
That would be my first encounter. So they interviewed me and they knew I knew my way around technology, and they were like, okay, come in, we're gonna train you. Wow. And that's how I got employed and I started my internship. So with Reliance Info System, that's where I got introduced into the dynamics aspect of Reliance Info.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I think I'm very sure one of the good things that you that must have given you that foundation, because I think if I'm not mistaken, your foundation starts from Reliance Info System with what you're saying now.
Yeah, basically.
I mean, basic foundation of your direction, because sometimes we're just doing tech, we're just I tell people for fact that there's no aspect of tech I've never done. I've done coding.
Exactly.
I used to code. I used to code in C#, C++,
exactly.
Cake PHP. I've done UI UX. I've done website development using Joomla and WordPress. So and when you see that, and I tell people, and I've even done networking. I work with a company in Lagos there that I'm the one. Sometimes I put on my my suit in the morning, but before the end of the day, right, my white has turned to brown because I must have climbed everywhere, tracing wires and all those things. So looking at all you've said, from the hackathon, which focus more on the hardware, to you being going for trainings in front end development, to starting your career, your real definition of career in cloud computing, that started from Reliance Info System, right? So what would you say that Reliance Info System, shout out to them, right? What would you say they do differently that actually give you that foundational aspect of Microsoft 365 Dynamics, that makes you to actually build on it?
Okay, so for my Reliance Info System, right, when I came in, I had no idea about what videos, because I like to explore. But I had no idea about Microsoft. Well, I knew about Outlook.
Yeah, Excel, Word.
Like other products that people use day to day in their offices, in their businesses.
Yeah.
And that's where we came in, right? I was in the business applications department.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I came in contact with SharePoint, Power Automate,
Power Apps.
Yes, and we started getting trainings. We have trainings, documentations. We're teaching us on the job. We're also going for field meetings, going to businesses. Yes, so we're helping businesses automate their processes.
Their processes.
Exactly. So that was my first
everything.
Yeah. So I did that. We had like presentations. I got pretty good, and I left after my 6 months internship.
So you left after your internship? Not that you work with them, after you're done with your internship?
No, I left. I did my internship and I left. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And why did you choose to leave? Reliance Info System. Looking at it doesn't mean that there wasn't a prospect there, or you have an offer, or what?
Yeah, so I had an offer somewhere else, right? I also had colleagues that after I left, like the set I came with, they stayed there. They continued to build their career in Reliance Info. Reliance, I went on to work as a technical support engineer for Modelica Partners, and it was they are into like loan management and the stuff, and I was supporting their app, Lika app. Then I worked there for a couple of months. Then I moved I lost my dad and I quit. That was like a very trying period in my life, 2020.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, thank you.
So you actually have to quit job when you lost your dad?
Yeah, that was like the most devastating thing that happened. I didn't know how to navigate. It was a very trying period for me, and I didn't know how to move forward from there. It was like I just needed time. So my mental, I just needed time. I just
I
left, and I needed to recuperate and all that. And after that, that's when I joined Tech Experts.
Wow. So after the you with the bereaved and the likes, that's when you had an opportunity to how did you join Tech Expert?
Okay, so for Tech Expert, I saw the application online, right? And I applied. It was Dynamics, and I already had knowledge of Dynamics.
Dynamics, yeah.
Yeah. So I applied. I had I think 3 sets of interview or 4. I can't really remember, but it was very quick and easy. It was a very good interview process, and they employed us. I remember October 5th, 2020. We came in. So we were the first set of Dynamics in Tech Expert.
Oh.
Yeah, we're basically the first set. So we're the pioneer set. We're the ones starting everything. We're the ones learning it. And we came into tech, right? And there was training. They gave us training. Even though we had knowledge of this thing, they gave us training, hands-on training. We had trainers. We were training back to back, 1 plus of training. When you're the first set to start something, we're all scared. They're how are we going to do this?
Is that you're picking your first case?
Exactly. We're the first set in Africa as a whole, because they had we have colleagues in the US, but none in Africa or any other place, just the US. So we had our trainings. It was time to start picking tickets, working with stuff, and it was good. We did really well. We did shout out to Tech Expert again, because of them, that's where I am, right?
Yeah.
I because of the tickets, because of the trainings we had, documentation, we had a lot of resources to work with. We had a lot of people. The collaboration in Tech Expert is superb. That is one thing.
That's one of the. I always say that's one of the fundamental sources. Yeah, they know how to actually put in that mentality of teamwork, collaborations and shout out Tech Expert. I think Tech Expert have really helped a lot of youth in Africa, let's say Nigeria, to find their part, more of their part in this aspect of cloud computing, especially Microsoft cloud computing. Yeah.
For us, because we're the first set, we're more like a family. So it was Microsoft Dynamics Business Central, and there was also Microsoft Dynamics F&O, that is finance and operation. I was under the Business Central team. Business Central's Navision is the on-prem version, while Business Central is the SaaS version, that is the online version. Then I kept working there. We worked for a bit. I moved to the senior tech support role. New people came in. We trained them, we onboarded them, and we kept growing as a team. We expanded, and tickets that we were when we joined, became experts. If you see a ticket, you already know how to resolve it. So that's how we kept going, and I was a tech expert for about 2 years.
Wow.
Then I got this job in Germany.
Wow. So what actually inspired you to start looking for a job outside? Because I'm very sure that current company in Germany, they are not the first place that you're applying. You must have been applying to all places, making effort while in Tech Expert. What is that drive? What is making you to have that drive? Is it because your friends are abroad? Some people don't japa, or I just want to understand, because it is a Slum2Tech, right? And when you say slum is that we all have a beginning. It doesn't mean the slum that we all know. It means that we all have a beginning, and there's something that actually helps you, that drives you from your beginning to where you are today. So I want to understand that. What was that drive?
Okay, so right. I think 2020 was when the whole Japa way thing and remote work thing came into place. I think knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, if you don't have knowledge to anything, you won't understand it. You can be somewhere in a spot and someone else is somewhere, and the person has this information, right? The person is working with information. So Tech Experts, we had a lot of colleagues, plus and all that, and people started leaving. People started getting jobs. People started traveling abroad, even those that went schooling.
Yeah.
And after a while, when I knew I was really good with this product, I was like, you know what? I think it's time for me to leave. I wanted something more challenging, because I wanted a better pay. I wanted to earn in a different currency. And I was like, okay, I think I'll do something here. Then I started to apply. I started using LinkedIn. I worked on my CV. I started shooting cold emails. And I think that's how we met. Because shooting a cold email on LinkedIn, right? I started shooting cold emails. I started having interviews. rejection, of course, which
of course,
can
a lot of them. A lot of
which,
rejections.
which can be very, very
Annoying, yeah?
Yeah. Sometimes you just be like, you know what, you give up. But that's the thing, you can't give up. You can be sad for a bit, but you have to keep going, right? And I have colleagues that were getting jobs from Nigeria. I was like, you know what, they don't have to get. I think I can do this.
So Jane, let's talk about this. So this you said something about the fact that when you knew that you have the knowledge about the product, you feel like now I can compete at that global market, you know, and that's when you started.
Yeah.
And I think I agree with you. Today, a lot of people they don't have that patience.
Yeah.
They've never understand the product. They've never understand how to pitch the product, support the product, deploy the product. They want to make, you know, they're putting money first. So you didn't put money first, because I know maybe Tech Expert wasn't paying you as, of course, I know that, you know, not you know, yeah. But you're still there trying to gather experience and most likely trying to write certifications and all those things. But when you realize that you are ready, you started pitching, you know, LinkedIn everywhere, you know, putting up your CVs. And I think that's a learning curve for people, right? Sometimes patience, knowing when to start, you know, it's very, very important, because maybe if you didn't know the product, there are probability that you might not be able to compete at that global market here. So now you getting job from Nigeria, are we going to say that, you know, this era of freelancing, it's actually making way for Africans? It's actually making us to get opportunity from Africa or from anywhere in the world? Because I can imagine, you know, it's very strange. It's very strange. Let's say back in like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, right? It's very strange for people getting jobs from Nigeria, getting international jobs. But now, a lot of our colleagues are getting jobs in US, UK, Germany, Europe. You know, what would you say? Would you agree with me that, you know, is it because that we are knowledgeable about the product, or is it because the world is becoming a global market, or is it because, you know how to pitch, you know, yourself, you know, in that global world? What would you say?
I don't think there's just one answer to this, right? I'll say we are knowledgeable. Right now we are knowledgeable. We have the skills, we have the experience, and they are coming from Nigerians because they are good at what we do, right? And we are able to also pitch ourselves. So it's not a one-way thing. It's like effort of three things. You having the knowledge, you being ready for the global market, and you pitching yourself, because there are sometimes, well, they find you, but if you put yourself out there, they're just going to pick you. You understand?
So you have to put yourself out there. So going there, does it mean that have you been doing something in LinkedIn that actually create that presence? Or what have you been doing that actually create that presence before? There are where you're not creating that presence. You just start, which I agree. Some people doesn't have presence, social media presence, you know. Some people, they have passive presence online. Some people, they have fake presence online. you know, they can package themselves, and they're not actually the real version of themselves in reality. Because I also stuff online, you know, and I've seen people writing articles about product, putting up the documentation about product, and you know, you're gonna sit down with them in 2 seconds, 2 minutes, I realize that this guy doesn't know anything about. So what would you say? What was your approach? Because I want audience to actually learn from that. What was the approach to get that international job right from Nigeria?
Okay, so for me, this is what I did. I'm not so much of a social media person, and I don't like posting a lot. I know there are people like me, right?
Yeah.
But what I did is I made sure I had like cover letters. I made sure my CV was up to date. And when checking for this job that I know that I have experience for, I tailored them to the job specifications, right? I made sure I even did like LinkedIn period and premium, where you could directly reach out to
the employees.
So sometimes having like a template for shooting your shots on LinkedIn, like, hi, my name is Jane. I see that you're advertising for this role. I have 4 years experience, and I'm going to be perfect.
And even with this era of AI is doing that for you with LinkedIn Premium.
So it just makes it easier. So you can just input, please kindly create a CV
something, and it's going to just generate perfect, pitch for you.
So I shot my shots, Some of them responded, some of them did not respond. Some said, oh, we didn't employ from Nigeria. Some were like, okay, I'll get back to you. And it was not easy. It didn't just happen for me at the go, right? I was lucky. I was able to interview for sure. Maybe I'll get to the last stage and they'll be like, oh, sorry, go down the better candidate. And I did not relent. Sometimes I'll feel bad, but I didn't relent, right?
So let's talk about the rejection. Let's talk about the rejections. I know you talk about not being relent. How do you, because of course I'm also at that position of my life. I tell people that before I got into Upwork, I was rejected 6 times. 6 fucking times,
Exactly.
And sometimes the way we handle rejections differs. Yeah. Me, the way I handle rejections, people should know something about me. Each time you see my more presence doing something innovative, maybe I just got rejected. Like rejection is just like a fuel for me that, oh, okay, you rejected me, right? Then I'm going to create something for myself. I tell people each time you see me more of being innovative, bringing different ideas, of course, don't judge me with that. Maybe I'm being rejected doing broadcast now. But I use that because I know that I studied myself at some point that there was a point that I was a bit depressed.
Yeah.
It wasn't like an easy journey. I was depressed to a point that I have panic attack for rejections, and people don't understand. Then I was getting rejections a lot with international firm, and some of my colleagues, they were doing well, and I lost faith in myself to a point that each time I make an application, before the application comes, my heart beats. I've not received, and I'm yet to receive the response from the HR, but my heartbeat becomes, and before you know, I'm gone. I do end up it's from the hospital. They'll tell you that this the way they panic apart, and they don't even send the email, so they don't reject it. It wasn't funny. I'm saying this for honest truth, because and why I needed to say this on this podcast is that, so for people that actually facing rejections here, you need to know how to handle it. At some point, I have to go through mind builders in Lagos. Paid a lot of money for mind builders. It's just like a little child trying to walk. That was how my mind. They have to build my mind. Start. Then I was listening. That's why I love more of gospel music today. People that know me very well, right? If you know me, if you see me from afar, you think maybe I'm a kind of secular guy. But when you go to my playlist, it's more of gospel. And I always tell people that was that point, because that was that point I also discovered the power in music. It was so bad. I'm honest. It was so bad that I can't sleep alone. I lost, that self-esteem, and it comes from rejection. It comes from the depression that comes from rejection. So in my own case, I started using music. I started engaging my mind. And that I remember my psychologist that was working with me then, like, he said, hey Matt, you can't create space for not doing anything. Even anytime you're making an application, make sure that you have like plan A, B, C, D. So when your mind is occupied, the probability that you just give a fuck. If I lose this one, I still have option B. If I lose this one, I still have option C, and that's how I started doing all those things. So that's how I do my, and that's what actually makes me to be a little bit rigid today. Sometimes my friends say, hey, you don't get emotion, like that's just life, So in your own case, which I know that not 5, not 10, not 20 rejections you're going to actually get while you're trying to make your part, how were you handling your rejections?
To be honest, it wasn't easy. So for me, right, if I receive a lot of rejection at the point, I pause for like 1 week. It can be very application. Yes, there was a time I was so sure. I had 2 applications. I was so sure either one of them would click. I was so sure, and it was the beginning of a new month, and 2 of them, they sent the rejection back to back. I called my mom.
It always come on Monday morning most times.
I called my mom. I started crying. I was like, I can't do this anymore. She was like, you know what, I should come home. So I flew home. I spent some time with my mom.
Family.
Yeah, I felt better, and I came back to Lagos. Family. Just surround yourself with people that love you. It helps. Yeah, it helps, right? So rejections, they are not easy. You're going to get rejected. That is the honest truth. Even though you think you have the experience, you have everything on that list, there's someone better than you. So when you're applying, apply with an open mind. Don't put your whole heart in it. Have a plan A, B, C, D. Don't, because if you put your ear and they disappoint you, you're gonna feel really bad. Like humans, we'll definitely feel bad, but we should learn how to
handle our rejections. They're always up and down to all those things. And I think those things actually prepare your mind better, for those opportunities. Now in Germany, what is the strategy like? Is it a hybrid, or is it more physical, or is it fully remote?
Okay, so I'll say for babes out there and for like guys looking to travel, make sure you have your certificates, your school certificate, your transcript, your international passport. So when all this comes in 1 month, you don't get back, right? So I think for me, what wasted my time was trying to get my transcript. You know how Nigerian universities are.
Wow.
Trying to get my transcript and my certificates from my school, it kind of took time. But immediately I had all my documents ready. In 1 month's time, my visa was like, I applied, I got a call for my interview in the next week. I went for my interview, and in 2 weeks' time, my visa was out. So I got everything in the space of 3 weeks plus, right?
Yeah.
After that, I booked my flights and moved over. My transition was very, very smooth because I had actually started working remotely with the company while waiting for my visa. So
I see. So you already get used to your team and all those things. Yeah.
So I already knew everybody, just that I met them physically.
And what was the experience? Meeting your team in the first time, coming from Nigeria and meeting your team first time in Germany. What was the experience? How do you feel?
When I landed in Luxembourg, because the city I'm in is very close to Luxembourg. The city in Luxembourg is very close to where I'm in Germany. My manager actually came to pick me up, took me to my apartment. Everything was ready for me. So it was a very smooth transition. So I came in on Friday, and on Monday, because most people work hybrid or remote, everybody came to the office just for me. So it was very interesting. Yeah, it was interesting. I met everybody physically. I got them some things from Nigeria. So it was good. Yeah.
So let's talk about the transition. And I think you said one valid thing. If you have the mindset to leave the country, for the global job opportunities, always get prepared. Like have every damn thing ready. And you said, your transcripts, your certificate, your international passport, and all those things, which were fat. Now, getting to Germany, working with new set of team, how was the transition like? Was it easy, or you have to put in some effort to actually complement, make it easy for you? How was the transition?
To me, to be honest, I don't think there was any much difference, because working in tech experts, the partners we were working with were white people, right?
Yeah.
So people were solving issues for were white people. You jump on the call with them, screen share. So for me, it was just the same thing.
You've had that international presence, and I think I'm very happy for you, my friend. I'm a dear friend. Now you have the international presence working in Germany. You got the job from Lagos, Nigeria, and this is like a message to everyone listening to us that irrespective of where you are, either you're in Africa, you're in one village in Africa, you can actually change your own life. You can change the narrative. This is someone from Jos, Jos North, not part of, people always feel like, the Northerners, they are not educated, but I understand that it's far from truth, Now, finding our path to working in Germany as a woman, which means that there is hope for women in tech. Now looking from that perception of, because as I've said earlier, I'm trying to see how I can actually impact in women in IT, to inspire, and that's why I'm more or less eager. And I want to say thank you for accepting, to speak to me, to share your story. And I'm more or less eager to talk more about successful women that have actually, transitioned their careers from, local to international, platform, and that actually migrate to abroad, doing so well. What would be your message for people, someone there, a woman out there, a female out there in the university, someone that just feel like, hey, I don't know how to get started. I don't know if I'm going to get a job with the course I've studied in the university, because a lot of people study a lot of courses in the university that does not actually have, reality in the present world, and which I feel like, your first degree has something to do with your career in tech. Your first degree has something to do with your career in tech, So looking at your own part, your story to where you are today, and I'm very proud of you. I'm proud of what you've become. There's some other hundreds of youths, thousands of youths that finished their service year, about to finish their service year, that they don't even know what is next for them. There are a lot of them like that. There are a lot of people wandering on the street, doing what they are not proud of, right? What would be your advice for them? What would you say? Looking at your own story, what would you say to them?
To be honest, right? If they told me when I was like in school that I would be currently in Germany doing IT, I'm like, that's not true. But I'll say if you're interested in IT, like you're still in school, you need to source for information. Right now, there's information everywhere. I didn't even have it when I was in school.
Of course.
Right now, there's information everywhere, and there are a lot of opportunities for ladies. There are a lot of boot camps. There are a lot of scholarships. There are a lot of things that are ready to be discounted for women. So first of all, information, knowledge. Second, networking. Join a community. Yeah. It will speed up your process. You can't do this single-handedly. I feel like if I even had like a mentor when I was younger, or if I was in a community, or if I had good networking skills, I would have been further. Even I'm grateful for that. Right?
Yeah.
Ask questions. There are people that have gone through these things. They've made those mistakes. You don't need to make these mistakes. They can tell you, you know what, stop this, go here, don't do this, do that. It will help. So first of all, information. Secondly, there are a lot of opportunities. Ask questions. Nobody's going to kill you. Network. Join a community. Do you want to do UI UX? There's a community for that.
Yeah.
There are networking. There are programs. There are things you can join. And with community, you move along.
Yeah.
There are courses I attend.
Now, talking about your aspect, your own niche of aspect in this area, which is Business Central for Microsoft Dynamics, is there prospect in it? How compared to other products, right? What would you say?
There is a lot of prospects, right? Especially in Europe here. I don't know about North America. Well, North America, there are always jobs here, but there's prospects. A lot of companies use Business Central. Also, F&O. F&O is like the big brother to Business Central, because F&O is for companies with about 5,000 users and stuff, while Business Central is like lesser numbers, right? But there's prospects. Aside Business Central and ERP platform, there's also SAP, which is a different SAP and Salesforce, which is a different product, right? But like for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, there is prospect, a lot of prospect. Aside that, SAP, Business Central, there is.
All right, let's talk about we're more or less in the era of AI, artificial intelligence, Copilot. At the moment, is there any collaboration between Business Central and Copilot? Is there any integration? I don't know more about Business Central. I can talk about Microsoft 365. Can you just tell us more about the new? Because sometimes, when you started, the niche is different from now. What would be your advice to people? We are now in the area of AI. I'm very sure that now, like in my own aspect, right? If you really want to be successful in M365 now, you need to know Copilot. You need to know how Copilot is being integrated to Microsoft 365 product. You need to know how it's being used to drive productivity and all those things, which means that Copilot is like a necessity, to you being successful in that aspect. So in Business Central, Microsoft 365 Dynamics, is that the same reality or is totally different?
Microsoft, they're always trying to be ahead of they're always trying to be ahead of everybody. So yes, Copilot is now being integrated to Business Central. They use it to automate some particular modules, but it's definitely being introduced, not in addition, but Business Central. It is being introduced, and it's something new which people are trying. Like, with IT, it's continuous learning because there are new technologies. So yes, Copilot is being integrated into Business Central.
All right, so thank you, Jane. And I think it has been a pleasure to have you on the call. I hope we catch up. I will come and greet in Germany. The last time we met was in Lagos. Lagos last in December. And also, you were also in the tech in the slum, right? So I think Yeah, I'm very grateful for all your support to Evolve Connect community. I just want to inspire one person. I hope this inspires just one person, and I hope this makes one person to be a little bit more passionate, drive with will and passion, to change the narrative. And hopefully maybe this message gets to that one person, and one day say, hey, I listened to the podcast where I have Jane, and that changed my career path. So Jane, what will be your last just on the podcast what will be your message to the audience before we end this podcast?
So from audience and women, just know that you can do it. I love saying independent, strong women, especially in IT. You can do this. Come and join us. We want you. So go girls.
Let's do this. All right, thank you, Jay, and thank you. Do have a lovely day, and see you.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Bye bye.